Hi everyone, I'm America Josh and welcome to Travel Tips with Elias MukhtarE from Liberty Travel. G'day Elias, how are you?
Good, how are you, Josh?
I'm very well, thank you. Thank you for joining us. This is our first video, just the two of us having a bit of a chat about travel updates. And thank you very much for taking the time. I know lots of people have been hanging out to hear the updates and hear what you've got to say. So we'll jump right in. We were talking before about what questions you're getting asked a lot, and the first one you mentioned to me was around keeping costs down, and a lot of people want to know how they can sort of save money on flights because obviously it's a difficult time at the moment for lots of people. What tips and sort of what are you telling people around how to keep costs down?
I think being flexible with your dates will definitely keep your costs down. I mean, they're not great, so any dollar you can save is fantastic. Now we're looking at flights right now for December, January, February are pretty high up there. So if you are semi-flexible as far as I can leave in January, give me the best date possible, and I can find you the best date. If you give me a 3-month period where you can leave, I'm going to be in trouble. There's a lot of dates to look up. So if you give me a month, I can find you the best option for that month. Because say the 30th might be better than the 5th. And I know a lot of people are, they don't know when they're traveling, when they have to leave, or when work will be furloughing them, or they have to leave the country. So being flexible with your dates will certainly help as far as keeping costs down.
Okay, yeah, I think that's something that we touched on a lot, and sort of it seems to come up in different aspects of all of this, but flexibility, and we know that a lot of people, can't guarantee exactly that flexibility, which does make it difficult, which leads me to the second thing, which is around changeable and flexible and refundable flights. Is that something that's still actually possible? I know early on in the sort of initially with COVID hitting, a lot of airlines sort of made things more accessible and more refundable and changeable and things. Is that still the case, or is it getting more and more difficult to get those kinds of tickets?
It's getting a bit more difficult. A lot of those flexibilities were allowed till December 31st. And we know right now it's very tough to get out by December 31st. So they were allowing those free changes prior to that. Going into January, February, and March, there's going to be penalties to change. But that is a very important question. There's two different things. One is changeable. The other is refundable. I get a lot of people asking me for refundable options. Now, refundable options are very expensive. If you're looking at a business class ticket that may cost, say, $5,000, a refundable business class ticket may cost you $8,000. So they get pretty pricey. Now, if you ask for a changeable ticket, that's a whole different story. Now, a changeable business class ticket may cost you $400 to change. So now you're not spending $3,000 extra to make it refundable so you can get your money back and buy another option. You could stay with the same airline and you'll just pay a fee to change your dates. So changeable is always, in my opinion, the better way to go. Pay the fee to change it. That way you can change to a different month or different day. Unless you plan on making 5, 6, 7, 8 changes, then you may want to look at a refundable option. But if you think, all right, I want to leave on the 5th, but it may end up being the 10th, just go with the changeable option. You'll save yourself thousands.
Okay, great tip. That one, because I think a lot of people, including myself, is, I think of it as just a ticket that I could get rid of. But yeah, it makes a huge difference if it's changeable or refundable. So that's really good to know. One thing you did mention in saying that was around business class. And is that something, we've seen a lot of people be bumped from flights in the last few months, especially, to Australia because of the flight caps. Is that something we're still seeing with airlines, bumping the economy class tickets before other ones? Are you still recommending premium, or are you recommending premium or business?
If anybody is traveling within the next 2 months, I would 100% consider premium economy, if not business. A lot of families are being sent back home as well. So when you have a family of 6 or 7 versus a couple or a single person traveling, they're going to take priority over that single person. So if you are in business class, you have way less chance of being bumped versus being an economy ticket. It's getting a little bit more open in February and March and April, but the same thing will continue on. Obviously, when the past months, when people were looking to book for November and December and January, now it's going to be the same thing. More and more people have to book. So you want to book now for February and March versus trying to wait another month because the availability is going to go away, the prices are going to go up, and more people will end up not having that option to fly home.
No, okay. Good to know. And I guess, yeah, it's difficult for a lot, but if you can sort of scrounge up that extra money, and it's worth looking in for flights to Australia, there are, I believe, still government supports that you can look into. So make sure you've made best use of the Home Affairs Department in Australia. And on that as well, just in general, if people wanted to, if you decided now that you want to go back to Australia for the Christmas and the holiday season, is that something that's actually achievable, or, is it sort of December's already completely gone?
Well, it's certainly achievable, but it depends on how much money you have in your pocket. Because you can do, as long as you have the money, you can do anything you want. But to get home for Christmas at this point, economy tickets one way are $3,000 each. A round trip may cost you around $6,000, and those prices are business class fares that you're paying for economy. And you know how long that flight is, and you know how tight that can get in economy. Yeah. So in business class, it may cost you $6,000 one way. So it could get very pricey. It's doable, but if you traveled in, say, February or March, you can get a business class ticket for those kind of rates, $6,000 and $7,000 versus buying it in economy. So it's doable, but it really depends on how bad you want to get home.
Okay, no, good to know. And I mean, if people can sort of postpone their festivities to February, March and pretend like it's December, that might be the best strategy. Elias, thank you, mate, very much. This is really helpful, and I look forward to lots more chats with you.
Of course. Thank you so much for having us. Actually, and I do want to mention one thing at the end. We obviously appreciate everybody coming to us to book their tickets, but I know there's going to be people that go online. And I just want to kind of put a little tidbit out there. Try to stay away from Fiji. I know a lot of people are looking to get the least expensive option available. And right now, Fiji Airways is that least expensive option. And everybody that says, hey, you're giving me this option for Delta, what about this Fiji option? And I would stay clear of that. They've canceled their flights over and over and over again. And I've had a client who was stuck in Fiji for about 3 months. Not a bad place to be stuck.
I was going to say, it's
but if you got to get home and at your own cost at 3 months, it's going to get quite expensive. So you want to stay away from those. There's a reason those are the least expensive options. You'll see a lot of Chinese carriers that are very low and the Fiji Airways options. So try to stay away from them. And secondly, you may see a lot of these search engines, Expedia, Google, and these guys offering you options with airlines that are not actually partners. They may fly you from one city to another with one airline and then change up the airline to go with a different airline to get you home. Now, those airlines, if they're not partners, that means that your bags may not go through, or they probably will get lost. And they don't guarantee to each other that if one flight's delayed, will protect you on another flight. So the search engine, the whole idea behind it is to get you the least expensive fare, but they don't put into account that these airlines don't really play well.
Communicate. Okay. No, that's a really good tip. I had no idea, because you just assume, and I'm sure lots of people do, is that if your flight gets delayed, of course the other flights get pushed. But that, as you said, if they're not partners, that's not something that you're going to be told. So it's something that you can tell people. And if people do want to get in touch with you, we're going to make sure that your contact details are in the description below and in the blog post that we put up today along with this video. Elias, thank you, mate. And I'll see you next week.
Of course, Josh. Thank you so much.